Hello, BookTube. I thought I'd do a different kind of series. Um, Something that was fun for me and hopefully fun for you. And I'm going to call it the Armchair Sailor. It reflects my interest in reading. um, excuse me. I'm a big fan of nautical fiction, everything from Patrick O'Brien and the Aubrey Maturin stories to the Horatio Hornblower stories, Douglas Reamond's World War II maritime stories, all that sort of thing. So I thought what I'd do is try to, some of these you don't hear a lot about on BookTube, and some of them you do. So I thought I'd try to just focus on some of these books. I read them all the time. I love them very much. So this time I'm going to start with a series. It's number one in the series, and these are in America. They're published by McBooks Press, and this is Philip McCutcheon's Halfhyde and the Bight of Benin, and this is number one in the Halfhyde Adventures. And Philip McCutcheon was a World War II British naval veteran, and he published more than 80 books, and including 15 in this series. He's pretty well known in Britain, not quite so much in the United States, but these nice... McBook Press does a great job on these types of things. I always collect them when I can. So Halfhyde's an interesting character. I just finished this, and how many pages is it? It's 223 pages. It's not much, and so it's McBook Press Incorporated, Ithaca, New York. But if you're in other countries, you may be able to find it easier. So this McBooks did it in 2004. This is 1974. And the cover painting is River Class Destroyer at Speed by Norman Wilkinson in the Royal Navy 1907. So, and quite a nice painting it is. So Halfhyde is an interesting character. He's in the Royal Navy. His full name is, he's a Navy lieutenant. His full name is St. Vincent Halfhyde. And he's on half pay. So he's not really active. He's ashore. And then he gets this call from the Admiralty, and that's how we meet him. He's a very young man. He is to sail to the Bight of Benin, which is in West Africa. And he's to spy on a Russian presence there. Okay, he's familiar with the area from a previous mission, but he's also a Russian speaker, and he's fluent, and that's important. Halfhyde is all for it. He's just tired of being ashore. And we learn early on, had been a prisoner, had been sent to Siberia. We don't get a ton of detail, but later he became a prisoner guest, because he's an officer. They treat each other differently than they would a regular enlisted person. He comes under the control of Admiral Prince Gorsinski, who's a cousin of the Tsar. So this is in the 1890s. And so you have powered ships as opposed to just sailing ships, that sort of thing. And he had earlier on made an escape. So he knows Russian. The Admiralty knows that in the Bight of Benin, the Russians are up to something. They've got ships there, and why? And it's on a trade route to South Africa, which the British the Royal Navy's not going to let anybody pose a threat to that route. The Admiralty calls up Halfhyde. He's assigned to a ship, the Aurora, with a Captain Fitzsimmons, who's a hard-nosed, by-the-book kind of guy, maybe not too imaginative. Ends up, there's a midshipman who's a young fellow, they're called Warts. They go through a lot of trouble. Long story short, him and Wart, as part of his mission, he ends up taking this midshipman. They make their way to shore covertly. I don't want to give too much away. And unfortunately for Halfhyde, yes, there are British ships in the bay. A bay that not only does Halfhyde know the Russians and all that, but he knows this area of the world well, the Bight of Benin. He knows the rivers, he knows everything, because he'd been stationed there earlier, or had missions there. And unfortunately for Halfhyde, things just seem to go wrong immediately through no fault of his own. And this Prince how do you say it? It's Gorzinski is the one who's the admiral in charge of that group, that squadron. And we have high adventure, we have locals who remember Halfhyde who think favorably of him. We have traders who are British who get involved. We have Halfhyde and the Wart, the midshipman, being taken prisoner. The prince gets a hold of him pretty quick, is pretty efficient about it, and it seems like things just go from bad to worse, which is what these thrillers, it's a nautical thriller. It's what happens, right? And that's the tension. We also have the boiling tension in the enlisted ranks of the Russian ships. And that boils over because the prince is a prince. I mean, he thinks it's all him, right? And his way of dealing with any dissent is to crush it and just keep squeezing and keep squeezing. Well, that builds a sort of powder keg in the Russian ranks. And it's very well done. The African terrestrial part, I mean, you get the nautical part, obviously, but the land-based part is fairly good. Painted with quick brush strokes, but you get the point. A lot of rain, a lot of mud, a lot of inept reactions to those environmental conditions by the Russian troops and or sailors. There's both. And there's a gun emplacement that the Russians have very wisely built on an overlook, which has even more powerful guns than the ships. All this plays out against malaria, betrayal, and really, really a short book, but a really fun read. I really, really enjoyed it. So the other name of this was Beware the Bight of Benin. Like I say, it came out in 1974. McBooks Press just put it out as Halfhyde in the Bight of Benin. Really liked it. I have more in this series. I have, let me see here, I'll do them in some sort of order. Yeah, number 2 is Halfhyde's Island. And number 3 is Halfhyde in the Guns of Arrest. Another wonderful cover. We have Halfhyde and To the Narrows, excuse me. And we have Halfhyde for the Queen, an adventure which threatens Queen Victoria, which I can't wait to get to. And then later in the series, so let's see, the Queen. So there would have been, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 between the Queen and this one, which is the Chain Gangs, which I found in this old St. Martin's Press volume. So looking forward to reading more of these. I enjoyed them very much. I would think that McBooks Press may still have them, or you may be able to find them used online. So this is what these Armchair Sailors, and I would rate it highly. It was a quick, fun, escapist read. Didn't bury you in nautical detail. Good character sketch, although again quickly painted. But yeah, I enjoyed it very much, and I'll read more of these. I'll try to mix up in this new series other series that I have right now. It'll only be ones I have because, of course, I can't really get out and find things. I don't always have the greatest luck shopping online, but for now, I'll be going through some of the series I have and adding them. I hope to get a couple of these posted each month. So if you like nautical fiction, and just leave a comment. And if you have ideas, feel free to tell me. If I have them, I'll read them. If I don't, maybe I'll get to them eventually once we're out of this trying time we're in. But a great read. They may be even available as ebooks. I don't know. So I hope everyone is well and staying safe. And thank you, BookTube.